Apart from the holiday season going on in full swing, do you know what other season it is? Winter? Technically, yes, but that's not my point. It is officially the cookie season. Cookie season is the best season of all. Baking Christmas cookies is one of my favorite holiday traditions to share with my family and friends. From classic sugar cookies with royal icing to gingerbread man, to peanut butter blossoms and buttery shortbread, you will find a cookie perfect for your big cookie platter, a cookie exchange with friends, or as a part of a holiday cookie box. You're listening to TALRadio powered by Touch a Life Foundation, and welcome to Foodology. I'm radio host Devansh, and I talk about the enormous world of a little word called food. Cookies are everyone's favorite snack, whether it's a classic choco chip cookie or a fancy cutout gingerbread. There are cookies for every occasion, and we don't seem to get enough of them. It is very difficult for a mother to feed their children with nutritious food, as they don't show up for nutritious food since they are not that tasty. But this is not true with the case of cookies. Cookies are not only delicious, but they are also nutritious. This great difference from other nutritious snacks makes cookies a popular snack for children. As soon as you hear the word cookie, your inner child gets all hungry and excited. We all have very pleasant memories associated with cookies, whether that's baking them with your family as kids or simply enjoying them during the festive season. Cookies can include all sorts of ingredients: sweet, savory, spicy, you name it. Probably because of this reason, cookies are so popular among children and people of all age groups. You can make cookies with chocolate, spices, and even nutritional ingredients like nuts. The sweet smell of freshly baked cookies in the kitchen is unparalleled. Baking cookies and then fighting over who gets to eat the raw cookie dough or lick the spoon makes for a fun family activity. Cookies come in a wide range of flavors, shapes, and textures, and they vary based on where you are in the world, from light and crispy to chewy and soft. But have you ever wondered what defines a cookie, since there are so many options available throughout the world? Let's take a quick little song break, and on the other side, I'll get all into today's very interesting topic. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're listening to TALRadio powered by Touch a Life Foundation, and this is Foodology. I'm radio host Devansh, and on this show, I talk about the enormous world of a little word called food. Cookies. This word is primarily used in the United States. Any of various small sweet cakes, either flat or slightly raised. They are cut from rolled dough, dropped from a spoon, cut into pieces after baking, or curled with a special iron. In Scotland, the term cookie refers to a small plain bun, which is also true for many other countries. Probably the most popular cookies in the United States are those that are based on a simple dough of flour, butter, sugar, and egg, to which a variety of flavoring and texturing ingredients such as chocolate chips, oatmeal, vanilla, peanut butter may be added. But what is the real difference between a cookie and a biscuit? Well, a biscuit is a British English name, which is derived from the Middle French word biscuit, which was derived from a Latin word. Much like a cake, cookies are made from a soft, thick dough and are denser than an English biscuit. When they are finished, cookies are larger, softer and chunkier than their biscuit cousins. The magic of a cookie lies in its inclusions. Chocolate chips, nuts, raisins, candies, Smarties, M&Ms, caramel chunks, and so much more. There are so many delicious things that can be added to a cookie. These inclusions are usually added to the batter before a cookie is baked, which also adds to its dense texture. Cookies are rarely decorated on the outside after they're baked. English biscuits, on the other hand, are the perfect candidates for elaborate decorations. Due to their simple ingredients, many are enrobed or dipped in different chocolate. They can be drizzled with chocolate, caramel, or sweet fruit sauces. English biscuits are often iced or have a center of cream or jam filling between two biscuits, like bourbon and custard creams. Culinarily speaking, cookies are classified based on the method by which they are made and the ingredients which they include. Cookies types based on the preparation methods are drop cookies, bar cookies, sandwich cookies, filled cookies, thumbprint cookies, cutout cookies, no-bake cookies, and so much more. Let's talk about drop cookies first. Drop cookies, as the name suggests, are made from a soft dough that is dropped by a spoon or from your hand onto a baking sheet. Most of these cookies flatten while they are baked. Bar cookies. Bar cookies are the easiest and the quickest way to make cookies. With bar cookies, all the ingredients and the dough is layered and pressed into a pan or a baking dish. The pan is then baked and cut into individual servings such as lemon bars, peanut butter bars, or cookie pizzas. In rolled cookies, the dough usually has to be chilled before it can be rolled out and cut. Once the dough has been rolled out, it can be cut with cookie cutters or knives or a pastry wheel. You can make endless shapes and use your imagination to cut out the cookies. Sugar cookies and gingerbread man are common rolled out cookies. Sandwich cookies. I don't think these cookies need any explanation since the name is pretty obvious. Then we have refrigerated cookies, or professionally known as icebox cookies. These are made from a stiff dough that is refrigerated in a log and then cut into cookies. Now the next category is called no-bake cookies or hybrid cookies. These cookies are not technically cookies since they are not baked, but they are included anyways. These cookies are made by mixing a filler such as a cereal or nut into a sticky binder. These cookies are shaped into individual treats or pressed onto a pan and then cut into bars. No-bake cookies are unique since they do not require baking in the oven. They simply need refrigeration or casual setting at room temperature. Now, categorizing cookies based on the ingredients which are included in them, the possibilities are endless since there are so many types of cookies that can come out just by basing them on the types of ingredients that go into making them, like butter cookies, chocolate chip cookies, fruit cookies, gingerbread, oatmeal, peanut butter, and a lot more. Because of availability of a large number of choices, cookies are also popular all over the world. Why not start with everyone's favorite, the chocolate chip cookies? Chocolate chip cookie has become America's staple. Just a single Google search for chocolate chip cookie recipe will bring forth more than 2.2 million results, each boasting of being the best ever. The classic Nestle chocolate chip cookie originates from a tale of chance at a lodge in Whitman, Massachusetts. The Tall House Inn, owned by Ruth Wakefield and her husband. This inn was mainly purposed for road travelers who needed a good night's sleep and some food. Wakefield made all the meals served at the inn. One day, while baking a batch of butterdrop cookies, she added chopped up bits of Nestle's semi-sweet chocolate bar. She thought that it would create a solid chocolate cookies, but that didn't go as planned, and a star was born, the chocolate chip cookie, originally called the Tall House Crunch cookie. This recipe was published in a Boston newspaper and quickly became one of America's favorites. The recipe was originally featured in Wakefield's Tried and True cookbook and first appeared on the back of the iconic yellow Tall House package in 1939. During the World War II, Massachusetts stationed overseas soldiers exchanged the treats they got from home with soldiers from other parts of the US. Eventually, hundreds of soldiers wrote home telling their relatives to give them some Tall House cookies. And Ruth Wakefield was eventually overwhelmed with the letters from all over the world asking for her recipe. Thus began the nationwide craze for chocolate chip cookies. The recipe for chocolate chip cookies was brought to the United Kingdom in 1956, with Maryland cookies being one of the UK's best-selling chocolate chip cookies. I kid you not, chocolate chip cookies are truly the most popular accidental culinary innovations in the world. Next up we have Snickerdoodles. This crinkly topped chewy cookie might not be the most impressive looking cookie, but they surely are extremely delicious. Snickerdoodles have long been a huge in the Amish community, especially in Indiana. Indiana is home to the largest Amish community in the United States. It is a widely celebrated cookie, and they even have a huge celebration every year on October 7th. The true origins of Snickerdoodles are still up for debate, but this cinnamon cookie that we all know and love today was likely brought to America by Dutch German immigrants. While they were always popular in the Amish baking communities, their popularity skyrocketed in 1891. The earliest recipes appeared in print towards the end of the 19th century, but handwritten recipes circulated for many years before that. Some say that Snickerdoodles originated in New England and that the name is simply a nonsensical word that results from regional naming traditions in which cookies were given silly names. While Snickerdoodle and sugar cookies share a lot of basic ingredients like flour, sugar, and butter, there is one key ingredient that is crucial to the signature Snickerdoodle taste. That is the cream of tartar. You might think that this sounds like an odd thing to add to a dessert or a cookie, but the cream of tartar is the age-old secret to those Snickerdoodle cookies that everyone loves. There are two things that can be attributed to the cream of tartar in Snickerdoodles: the signature tang and the perfect chewiness. These characteristics are due specifically to the chemical makeup of cream of tartar, which prevents the cookie from developing sugar crystals and gives it a very soft and pillowy texture. In more recent times, the Snickerdoodle cookie has transformed into a popular flavor of desserts, sweets, and drinks. Big brands have taken this simple dessert and turned them into their own original products. The Oatmeal and Raisin Cookie. An oatmeal and raisin cookie is a type of drop cookie made from an oatmeal-based dough with raisins. Its ingredients also typically include flour, sugar, eggs, salt, and spices. These cookies have evolved from the Scottish oatcakes. When the Roman Empire conquered England, they did not realize how hard it would be to conquer Scotland. The Scots carried oatmeal in their pouches and were known for taking pride in their oatmeal and its products. In war times, soldiers would carry oat cakes to battle with them for boosts of energy during the battle. Moving forward in time, it was only during the 1800s that oatmeal entered the confectionery department, and somewhere around this time, raisins were introduced. It first appeared as a cookie in the late 1800s. Since then, variations have blossomed all over the world. Today, outside of eating a bowl full of oatmeal or adding it to your meatloaf, using oats in cookies is by far the most common use of oats in the United States. Next up are shortbread cookies. Nothing screams Scotland quite like a shortbread. Shortbread has been synonymous with Scotland for centuries, which is perhaps why people rarely stop to ask of its origins. Although its first published mention was in 1736 by a Scots woman called Mrs. McClintock, a variation of the classic biscuit was around long before. Shortbread is a type of cookie with high butter content. The traditional recipe is 1 part sugar, 2 parts butter and 3 parts flour. Some recipes use a 1:1:1 ratio, and there are variations in between. It has been called the ancestor of all butter cookies. The original shortbread were made with oatmeal. The more elegant white flour came later and lightened the cookie. As we all know, shortbread originated in Scotland, where cookies are called biscuits. In medieval times, Scottish shortbread evolved from a medieval biscuit bread, a twice-baked, enriched bread roll dusted with sugar and spices when hardened into a rusk. Eventually, butter was substituted for yeast, and shortbread was born. Shortbread may have been made as early as the 12th century, but this invention, or at least the refinement and the current form, is often attributed to Mary, Queen of Scots, in the 16th century. She had a team of French chefs who had the time, labor and ingredients to perfect the recipe. While shortbread is a famous accompaniment to tea, the cookies are also served with wine and champagne, and they are terrific accompaniments to ice cream, sorbet, puddings, fruits, and other desserts. The cookie gets its name from the crumbly, short texture of the product. Other people believe that the name is due to its high percentage of shortening or butter. Butteriness is a very important quality in shortbread, so much so that in 1921, the British government legislated that a product called shortbread must get at least 51% of its fat from real butter. Interesting, right? Shortbread usually comes in 3 different forms: small round biscuits, fingers, or large rounds. To make the fingers, the dough is cut into a large rectangle, and the fingers are scored with the back of a knife so that they can be broken up easily after cooking. A pattern made with fork marks is always made too. To make the large rounds, the dough is pressed into a round earthenware mold or a tart tin to make the Petticoat Trails. When making the Petticoat Trails, the dough is scored into triangular slices like a pizza. You know, when it comes to the ever so popular Petticoat Trails, the belief is that they were named such because of the likeliness to the underskirts worn by the ladies of the court of Mary. Some believe that they were modelled on her favourite Gallic treats and therefore evolved from the French words petite galette. Many parts of Scotland incorporate shortbread into their wedding traditions, such as the groom breaking a freshly baked piece over his bride's head. If the shortbread crumbles, the marriage will be fruitful. In Shetland, a decorated shortbread piece is also crumbled over the bride's head as the newlyweds cross the threshold of their new home. Although these traditions are nowadays viewed as old-fashioned, it is common to have mini shortbread bags as gifts for the wedding guests. The next cookies on our list are peanut butter cookies. A peanut butter cookie is a flat, crunchy cookie made with peanut butter as the main ingredient, obviously. It is characterized by a strong peanut flavor, crumbly texture, and typical surface fork marks. It is the second most favorite cookie of the American families across the United States. When they say that necessity is the mother of all inventions, they must have had peanut butter cookies in mind. The earliest documentation of the existence of peanut butter cookies, which are an American invention, dates back to the early 1900s. This was when an educator, George Washington Carver, passionately began advocating that farmers should shift away from the cotton crop, following a heavy infestation. After this, Carver called for the use of peanuts instead, citing their health benefits. To further promote his cause, he compiled a recipe collection whereby all his recipe made use of peanuts as ingredient. The first documented production of peanut butter cookies appears in that bulletin, How to Grow Peanut and 105 Ways of Preparing It for Human Consumption. This recipe indicated the use of crushed peanuts, as peanut butter was still inexistent. The crushed peanuts came to be substituted with peanut butter later on in the late 1920s. But ever since then, peanut butter cookies have come to be a favorite snack among many people from all over the world. Early peanut butter cookies were either rolled, thin or cut into shapes, or else they were dropped and made into balls. They did not have fork marks. The first reference to the famous crisscross mark created with fork was published in 1932. Pillsbury, one of the large flour producers, popularized the use of fork in the 1930s. The peanut butter balls recipe in 1933 edition of Pillsbury's Balanced Recipes instructed the cook to press the cookies using fork tins. These early recipes do not explain why this practice was done, but the reason was given that the peanut butter cookie dough is dense and unpressed cookie dough will not help the cookie to cook evenly. There are so many interesting recipes for cookies. It would take a lifetime of frequent baking to try them all. One of the greatest pleasures is biting into a freshly baked cookie while it is still warm when it comes out of the oven. Thank you so much for sticking around with me on this episode of Foodology. I had an incredible time talking to you. This is radio host Devansh signing off. Hope you have a beautiful and a magical day ahead. See you soon.